interesting stuff to talk about with the rest of the league in terms of the trade deadline. And we had a big trade come up the other day between the Kings and the Pacers, and a trade that kind of raised a lot of eyebrows among fans of the league. So the Sacramento Kings, they acquired Domantas Sabonis and Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday from Indiana, but obviously Sabonis is the big name. And in exchange, the Kings give up Tyrese Haliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson to the Pacers. And obviously, yeah, the big player here is Sabonis, with his crazy numbers. I mean, he's averaging 18, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists. He's just been a terrific player for them. But on the other side, there's also a lot of question marks being drawn with Tyrese Haliburton. That was a really alarming piece of the trade, and a lot of people are kind of surprised that the Kings would even deal this guy, considering that they just drafted him and he's in the middle of his second year. So I want to get your thoughts, Will, on this trade. Who won, and what are your thoughts about each team's acquisitions?
I think that the fact that this trade involves such young people, it's going to be hard for one team or the other in 5 years when they see how the other one turned out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sabonis, an All-Star last year, he's very talented right now, as we know, and he's already blossoming. And the lefty forward center, whatever you want to call him, he's killing it right now in the NBA. He was the head of the Pacers franchise basically, and he was on a roll. But Haliburton is a fantastic player right now. He's averaging 14, 4, and 7. The former Iowa State Cyclone. He was just picked up in the draft. I mean, round 1, pick 12, and you really don't know what these young guys are going to bring you. So, like I was saying before, you don't know if you should plant them as in the rotation of your own team, or if you can get them gone for something better. So, right now, I think that the Kings won the trade in a way, but I mean, all love to Buddy and Haliburton, but I think Sabonis is just so good right now, and the Kings really lucked out. They're both 13th in their respective conference, Pacers being in the East and the Kings being in the West. Both have basically identical records, so I think that we can let the data show us in maybe at the end of the season who got the better trade.
I mean, yeah.
So
it's really puzzling to me, This is so odd because when do you see two 13-seeded teams move significant pieces like this? Like, obviously it's a trade for the future because there's nothing to play for this season. I mean, the Pacers are far out of it. The Kings actually, if you want to talk about the play-in tournament, the Kings are 3 games behind the Pelicans for that 10th seed to get into the play-in tournament. But, I mean, there's the chances of the Kings sneaking into the play-in tournament, not great. And then you factor into the fact that, if they get out of the play-in tournament, they're probably not getting past the first round. So it's just a kind of a confusing trade. It just caught me by surprise for sure, considering that these are moving 2 significant pieces. And I mean, if you're the Kings, they got a great player in Sabonis. There's absolutely no doubt about that. He is fantastic, but I got to question a little bit about giving up Haliburton, considering he's such a young player and he's been so good for the Kings. He's been one of the few bright spots on that roster, and you mentioned he's averaging 14.3, 7 assists, 3 rebounds. He's been all they could have asked for so far. And
yeah, in a young guy, he really is all they could ask for.
Yeah, and he's super young and had a bright future ahead of him, and now all of a sudden he's just gone, and he's gone to Indiana, and I don't really get it. I don't really get what the Kings were really thinking here. Now, they got a great player in return, but at the same time, you kind of thought Tyrese Haliburton was going to be, a centerpiece of this rebuild. And given reports that he was absolutely devastated by being traded by the Kings, it's just, wow. I got to question the strategy here. I don't really know what the Kings were doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You think about the last time the Kings were ever really successful. Peyton Manning was winning championships, and that was a long time ago. So maybe these moves, maybe there's a deeper meaning, But at the end of the day, on paper, on the statistics, it just looks like a whole lot of nonsense. But Haliburton, I think they did lose something very special, and I'm very shocked to hear that he was so passionate about that team and that he was so broken up when he was literally broken up from them.
Yeah.
And I think he'll get over it, but he has a lot of potential. I see a lot of Lonzo Ball in him. He's a great passer. He has a very intelligible IQ. And, Lonzo is going to be a valuable role player, as we could tell. Number 2 pick. He's nothing too crazy, but Haliburton's ceiling is nothing. Like, he doesn't have a ceiling. He can really blossom. And right now, in his second year in the league, he's doing so well. And, I think that right now it's hard to tell because I did say before that I think the Kings won, but I'm rethinking right now.
Yeah. It really could go either way. I think the Pacers got the better end of this deal, and I'm going to tell you why.
Tell me.
So Tyrese Haliburton, first of all, that's a great pickup, and he also just moving Sabonis out of Indy. It is a better fit for Miles Turner on that roster as he starts to come back, and now Turner can play center without Sabonis, and according to Woj, he appears thrilled about the idea of playing with Haliburton, and honestly, who wouldn't with a young star like that? So I just think with this maneuvering that the Pacers did, I think their roster is, better fit for success. Now, obviously, not going to happen this year. They've already dealt pieces away and they've been dealing with injuries, so nothing's going on in Indiana in 2022, at least at the end of this season. But for the future, they've got some strong pieces, and now Miles Turner better fits for their roster. So I have to say, I like what the Pacers are doing.
Yeah. Karis LeVert, I mean, he's going to be a good addition with Haliburton and, like you said, Miles Turner. They gave away Justin Holiday too as well, right?
They did.
Yeah, he's not anything too crazy. He's averaging 11 and 2, but these are just minor little parts that each team's giving away, and I guess there's a great angle at the end, but right now it's kind of confusing. So, that 2027 second round pick, I mean, they kind of just threw that in there.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? So yeah, we'll wait and see what really happens here. But I mean, I have to say the Kings, I don't know if I would have done that deal. I don't know, and especially given the Kings front office track record, I mean, that's a little concerning. But I think no matter who's on that roster, the Kings just can't win. So honestly, maybe we're kind of grasping at straws here. Maybe we're just kind of glancing over the fact that the Kings, they're just not going to win with anybody. At least that's what it seems like now. But yep, this trade's been done, and a couple another interesting deal that we have to talk about. CJ McCollum got traded. CJ McCollum got traded to the Pelicans. So they deal him to New Orleans, and in exchange, New Orleans gives up Josh Hart, Tomas Satoransky, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Didi Luzades. But the big story here is obviously CJ McCollum and really the end of an era in Portland. And that's really the Blazers, to me, just throwing in the towel and obviously kind of realizing that this isn't their year, and this big run that they're kind of going on, it's kind of coming to an end. At least that's what I kind of take from it for the Blazers making this deal. Yeah,
I mean, it's very tough to rely on somebody who's one of the better players in the draft when they picked up from Weber State, Damian Lillard. I never really understood the whole loyalty to a city that you were drafted to, because at the end of the day, it's about you. It's about what you want to do, and I'm not sure what exactly Lillard's end goal is here. So,
well, I like the fact that Dame's loyal. I'm just gonna.
I like it.
I'm all
it's
for
nice.
It. I mean, listen. We're going to get off topic for a second, but I mean, I'm just so done with the whole super team narrative.
Yeah.
And just the way the NBA is built. It's just better that guys are just kind of loyal and sticking with one team.
I mean, yes, theoretically it is, but super teams win championships, and you're not going to win a championship with just one guy, and I don't think that CJ McCollum is another guy.
No.
So, I mean, unless Damian Lillard was able to team up with somebody who was another generational superstar, there's nothing that's going to be happening in Portland for the next few years, at least. But you really don't like the super teams? I think they're a lot of fun.
I mean, listen, they're fun, but it's just the NBA is too top heavy. That's just what
That is a
I'm
good
dealing
point.
with.
That is a good point.
I mean, listen, as a Nets fan, I'm all for it, and listen, I'm all for that. But at the same time, I don't like the whole fact that players can just conspire together and form on a team to really just kind of dominate. That's just my take on it.
You're a little old school,
Oh,
which I
listen,
respect
and,
it. And
it hurts guys like Dame.
It does hurt guys like Dame,
But at the same time, Dame could easily adjust with the times and go somewhere.
Yeah, he could. But you got to look at the Bucks. I mean, last year this team, like I've been saying all night, they planted those seeds. Those seeds sprouted, and those two seeds in Middleton and Giannis
paid off.
It's unbelievable how they were able to walk away with it, and they beat the Nets, who were Kyrie-less, were they?
They were Kyrie-less and pretty much James Harden.
Pretty much James Harden.
He was out there as a decoy.
Okay. So, yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, we got the Heat, who's, what do you think about the Heat? Do you like what they're doing?
The Heat are good. I mean, especially in this Eastern Conference, now that it's a little more wide open with the Nets not being a sure thing, I think they could make a run.
I think this is the most open the league has ever been.
Oh yeah, I mean,
since I've been a big basketball fan.
This Nets Lakers fixed finals, it doesn't look like that's happening.
No, and everybody really thought it was gonna be, and right now I think the West is completely shut off.
Yeah,
the West is. Well, you got the Suns, but I think that the Warriors are just such an unbelievable team.
Mm-hmm.
The Suns and Warriors, they're both. I retract my statement. They are absolutely so much better than everybody else in that division.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll go back to the McCollum trade. Yeah. I mean, the Pelicans definitely got an upgrade. I mean, McCollum is obviously a very good player. He's averaging 20.5, 4.3 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. But also, the interesting thing here is people are speculating, if Zion comes back and Zion's, lives up to his full potential, this team could be good.
Yeah.
Like this big three of fully potential Zion and then, Brandon Ingram, who's been a star, and now McCollum, that's a really solid big three.
It really is. What are they right now? They're 22 and 32.
They're 10th in the West. They'd be in the play-in tournament.
They would. And what's the status on Zion?
I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Because he's just not playing.
He's just gone missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just fallen off the face of the earth.
So you're so right with that point that they really have something going on there. They got Zion, who's, he's just a specimen, unbelievable athlete. And they got Brandon Ingram, 22 a game, dishing in 5 and 5. I mean, solid team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If the pieces come together, the Pelicans could really do something. And well, I mean, in terms of playoff contention, I don't know if they're a championship contending team. Like, can they compete with the Warriors? No. Can they compete with the Suns? No. But I mean, you're thinking next year, if this team's together, They can do something.
We're definitely going to see a lot this
5.
season. We're definitely going to see a lot this season about how next season's going to play out. If this experiment works, I mean, this could really be something. And I didn't even realize it until you just opened my eyes to it.